Okay.
Cool.
Well, as you can see, I've got
Yes.
some stuff about the giant races for you.
Awesome.
I've got eight. So
Mm.
we'll see how we go. I don't have to do all of them if it's too much. So generally, giant races speak human language and certain ancient tongues, but they do prefer their own language. And they've got great translation devices and very advanced communication technology. Generally, they joined the human race in the fifth reset, some before, but they came from outside because of what was going on with the parasites. And they thought it was the right time to come in and join in with the humans. So, as I said, I've got eight for you. And we're going to start with number one. I was going to annoy you and do it Johnny
Wow,
Carson
that looks
style.
very, very familiar.
Number one. What is this? This is an ebony skinned earth builder. That's what they're called, yeah? 20 to 40 feet tall, deep black obsidian skin. Obsidian is, it looks like black glass, their skin, and they built lots of statues in places like Africa, great big megaliths. Their hair is coiled, thick, with crystal embedded bones. So, ebony skinned earth builders. Yeah, these builders were not just um, construction experts, they were geoengineers, energetic stabilizers, and memory keepers. So it suggests that their presence is encoded into the land physically by the megaliths and energetically through site resonance. So there's lots of stuff going on to embed them in the land. And they do have a legacy in places like Africa as guardians of ancient knowledge, especially tied to Earth's magnetic network and pre reset civilization. So before it all started. Okay, we got number two now, moving right along. Now, if I can get it to, okay. We did have a little look at the women of Hyperborea last week, and they were pictured in these long gowns, ethereal looking. So these are the golden skinned Hyperborean giants. Yeah, they're pale, gold or sort of white skinned and androgynous, and they radiate internal light. It says they're often misrecorded as sun gods because of the way they look, and they spoke in toning. They didn't use words. So I was trying to imagine how they communicated, but it's not going to sound like tones, is it? I'm sure it's going to sound better than that. But they didn't use words. They used high frequency. So they're pre-Adamic, very ancient, from the central lands of Hyperborea. And they built the first luminous cities. Sometimes those cities were mistaken for Atlantis. And they are close allies with the sacred trees network. And we're going to look into those trees if we have time. Yeah? They're guardians of vertical energy lines. Yeah? Says here, Elder Christian says they're non-violent and etherically powerful. So they use harmonic sound and light tools, and they're found near the northern edges near Gateway 10. That's the Hyperborean giants. Now, number three. I'm not familiar with any funny sounds. Now, this is, they're called copper skinned, there he is, copper skinned desert dwellers. It's hard to get the picture. Yeah. They lived underground after the flood, and they seem to be kind of reddish brown with their skin tones, and they've got reflective tones, glowing eyes. I don't know if you can see their glowing eyes, but very tall, long limbed. They do look a bit chunky. I don't know about the long limbs, but something like that. They're called copper skinned desert dwellers, and they're associated with the Grand Canyon, regions like that. And they come from the outer ring lands. These are independent lands that are just outside of the Dome of Hiva, but these lands are influenced by the dome's frequency, and that's where the copper skin desert dwellers come from. They are masters of crystal harmonics, underground chamber builders, and atmospheric terraformers. Claudio suggests that they help to reseed parts of Realm 2 after the reset. And their legacy is that they have some surviving bloodlines that have carried forward into early pre-Tartarian civilizations. Number 4, moving right along. We come to the ice giants. Let's see if you can see these ones. Technology is really bad, isn't it? Okay. You can see them a bit, can't you?
We can see it,
The
yeah.
Yeah, ice giants from the frozen lands. It's a bit like that film, that musical Frozen. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. They've got bluish white skin, silver hair, and a crystalline bone matrix. And they originated from a specific polar region beyond Realm 2, it says. It's part of the frozen lands between realms, it's a concept you got to get your head around. There are lands between realms as well. Yeah, beyond the second ice walls, in Realm 2's outer zone, it says. In these regions exists a permanent state of deep freeze, sometimes between dome worlds or in buffer zones between time-locked realms. So the frozen lands where these giants come from is not a dome. It's rather an ancient, isolated plateau locked in extreme magnetic fields. And these zones are hard to access unless certain gateways are open, and that only usually happens after a reset or a magnetic reversal. Yeah? So these ice giants can only be seen in memory flashes, apparently, in frozen time pockets. And these frozen time pockets it's a bit like time has been suspended or frozen or looped in some way. And it's caused by magnetic anomalies, damaged firmament or artificial stasis. So there are places where beings, civilizations, or artifacts are actually stuck. They're not aging, they're not evolving. It's a bit like being paused in a scene. Say you were doing a film and you said pause. So they'd be like that. They're in this kind of frozen pocket. Elder Christian once called these places memory-locked vaults. The beings in them are sometimes still alive, but they're unaware of time distortion. And in some cases, entire ice giant groups or outposts are believed to be caught in such pockets, which may reawaken after a reset or time shift, which I think is coming up. Some kind of time shift. Okay, that's 4. Shall I continue? I've got another 4. Okay.
Keep
I'm gonna
going, Velma.
All right, you can see me bum for a bit. Now, these ones I shall dive a little bit deeper into because you're more likely to come across them when we go home, probably the first ones. So number 5 is the Patagones. This is a bit of what the Patagones look like. Yeah? They call them the giants of the South. Yeah, because they helped humans through the Southern Passage, the Patagones, yeah? 13 or 14 meters high. So they're absolutely massive. But they chose not to get involved, except there were 3 musketeers. of their number who did get involved, and those three did everything they could to help the humans escape when the parasites came. So, Lightweb suggests that the Patagons are remnants of a giant class of humans engineered or sustained by advanced pre-reset civilizations. And they were isolated after the reset because it sealed off where they lived. It sealed off their domains beyond the ice walls. So these Patagonian giants, they still exist today, but they're either dormant or they've migrated to lands inaccessible to modern humanity. So they are waiting for a time of re-emergence when the truth is restored and the resets cease. And I think that time is coming up very soon. Right. What's this? Number 6. Moving on. This chap here is a Jotna. They're very, very important to humanity, the Jotna. Yeah? They originated from the outer lands beyond the Antarctic ring. They're very tall, wise, and deeply connected to the etheric fields and natural rhythms of the eternal tree, Yggdrasil. So they know all about the ether and the natural rhythms of that and the connection to the tree that we keep hearing about. So their role after the Five Masters succeeded first humanity in Hyperborea, the Jotna were appointed as spiritual guardians and teachers. Remember, Christian told us that the giants were helping first humanity with their spiritual development. This was them, the Jotna. Those were the giants. They guided, they did not dominate. They taught first humanity how to commune with Source and to understand their crystalline DNA potential and to use their heart consciousness to access higher dimensions without machines. It says they wore flowing robes. They had crowns with antlers and horns because it was symbols of cosmic resonance, and they carried staffs and used harmonic instruments. So the Jotna helped from the Northern Passage. That's where they helped humans escape. The route was difficult because it was complicated to get through Dyatlov portal and cross into Asgard. They faced tremendous hardships, and many of them perished during the Great War. So the ones that did survive, some of them escaped to Aquarius. Now remember Aquarius. What did we find when we went to Aquarius? Horrible creatures and stage 1 development, very hostile with their reality bubbles. So they used it on the Jotna, and several of them were killed because they were unaware of what was going on, yeah? Because once you get them inside these bubbles, escaping from the bubbles is really impossible. Okay, so some of them went there, some went to Asgard or Yggdrasil. Lightweb says that the Jotna were ancient hyperdimensional entities, a race of towering, powerful beings who once coexisted with early humanity before the Great Reset. And they had access to advanced knowledge and possibly crystalline-based energy systems. So they were in the outer part of Realm 2, sort of the free part. So the Jotna are believed to be part of the original divine blueprint. There's nothing evil about them, but they are formidable and they're massive. You've heard they've often misunderstood due to their size and their energy signatures and different frequency resonance. So in the time before the last resets, they were regarded as protectors of knowledge, possibly even guardians of specific portal systems, getting in and out of the realm. So the Jotna survived most of the recent resets by retreating into isolated zones that are not accessible to modern humanity. And this includes subterranean domains, dimensional overlays that require a vibrational access key. So it sounds as though they've hidden themselves really well. So we wouldn't be able to get in there. Once this blueprint of the five masters was anchored, the Jotna was sent by the White Light Alliance to steward first humanity's awakening. And it seems the White Light Alliance included the five masters, but broader across races and beings and other light workers. But the main people, the five masters. So this period of spiritual mentoring is referred to as the time of walking with giants. The Jotna were the most spiritually advanced and benevolent, and today they are seen as dormant allies, beings who may return when the vibrational shift aligns and humanity is ready to reintegrate with the greater realm system. Realm two, I think. So they're not enemies, but ancient sentinels awaiting the restoration of the original Earth blueprint. Number 7 is a quickie. Sasa. I don't think they've agreed how to spell this one. Claudio doesn't have an H in it, but Lightweb does. So that's Raksasa. Looks a bit flame-eyed as well. But these Raksasa giants, they chose not to get involved with the technical war. They preferred to offer assistance after the reset. So they weren't that bad. They did help us. So they're a race of hybrid or interdimensional beings that infiltrated the human realm in past epochs. The White Hats suggest that they are bioengineered or manipulated by negative extraterrestrial factions. They're associated with ancient spiritual and physical warfare that occurred long ago, before our current age here. So some took part in subversion of human genetics, the creation of controlled bloodlines, and opposition to the divine order that was seeded by the source. So they do operate from hidden dimensions or realms separated by frequency barriers. Right, got one more, the biggie, the Anakim. Shall I do it? It's a biggie. All right, I'm going to do it. The Anakim. They're known as one of the giants of the South. They have human blood running through their veins from the remote past. So they were originally non-human beings, but they entered this realm out from outside the dome, and over time they merged with human genetics. Claudio shows us this picture of the Anakim. So I think that's kind of what they want us to see. They must have approved that picture for the book. That's the Anakim he shows us. So they merged with human genetics, so that left them with human bloodlines from the distant past. So while they're not fully human, he says, they're also not fully alien. They're a hybrid race, guardians of ancient knowledge, but also marked by resets because they were targeted because of this knowledge. They've survived lots of reset, but it did alter them genetically, spiritually, and culturally. So here we have beings that are very advanced in their capabilities. It says they are a giant stature, but they're only like 4 meters. Patigans are 13 to 14, so they're not as big as some of them. So they have techno-biological intelligence. They carry memory fragments and trauma and adaptations from those ancient world cycles. So their main role is as guardians of ancient knowledge. And this knowledge makes them a threat to the matrix. And that's why they were targeted at every reset. They wanted to wipe them out. So they weren't just witnesses of the reset, they were also victims. So he's suggesting that they're not native to Earth, they travel interdimensionally. And that involves advanced technologies, possibly a portal giving dimensional access to, for example, ancestral lands, which is where a lot of them went to. So they are extraterrestrial in origin, but within the larger multi-dimensional Earth system. So they come to ancestral lands, they provide them with technology knowledge. Um, some of them came in before the fifth reset, and they were part of a larger program that was involving genetic manipulation and planetary control. So the White Hat suggests that they're aware of these involvements in manipulating humanity, especially through bloodline interference and control. And a bit of that goes on today. But eventually they joined forces with the ancestrals. They created the empire, Great Tartaria, all the advancement and spiritual growth that happened there, and connection of the human soul to celestial lands. So they helped with that. Um, Typically, their hair is long, their beard is long, just as that picture that Claudio shows us. And he finishes by saying they love harmony, contemplating the beauty of sunrises, and they played a crucial role in the creation and maintenance of a balanced and prosperous ecosystem in conjunction with exponential growth during the time when the custodians and the Anunnaki were fighting each other while they weren't in power. So there was lots of advancements, free energy, lots of technology. So in terms of thinking about why the giants, why did they come into help and assist in the liberation of mankind? It was a bit like they had an opportunity. There was a confrontation going on with the parasites. So at that point, some of the Anakim came in, and a couple of other giant races came into human lands. Some of it was out of curiosity, he says. Some to infiltrate, to get information as well as technology. But they did begin to feel part of the land. They got closer to humanity and lived there with them. But after many years, they started to get sick. Their bodies began to get sick due to the toxins in the air. But they did make large fortifications in the Antarctic Circle, places like Argentina and Chile. And these giants explored old continents and discovered trees of colossal sizes, which we will go into. And the old continents he's referring to include Hyperborea before a cataclysm and ancient Lemuria. So the Anakim were amongst the earliest explorers of these regions, interacting with the sacred trees that were used as portals and powerful conduits or gathering sites before the fall of these original root-based civilizations. And they decided to settle there. They settled in Hyperborea and Lemuria to enlarge their population without attracting too much attention from the custodians and the parasites. That's it. Let's say goodbye, monkeys. I wonder what she's going to do today. Now, Kirsten, breaking news. God didn't make little green apples. And it don't rain in Indianapolis in the summertime. There's no such thing as Dr. Zeus. Disneyland, there's no Mother Goose. Monkey! Can't say that. Bye-bye.
There is a Mother Goose. I know her.